Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Tom.
It's time!
Live from the CSB studios in Westbury, New York,
It's the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
featuring co-host Kevin Dolan and the host that's been here since day one, Jerry Napoleonello.
On Zeno Radio and
On All Noise Radio.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show live on Zeno Radio, All Noise Radio, and the Live 365 app. I'm Jerry Knapp. He's Kevin Donlin. Thanks for deciding to spend your afternoon with us. We got a lot to talk about today. We still have 2 unbeatens, NFL Week 10, and previewing Week 11. The number to call, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Hall of Famer benched. Another QB making his way back. Let's start off the Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary.
That's right. Monday Night Football, Texans coming to Cincinnati to face Andy Dalton and the 8-0 Bengals. And after Brian Hoyer was knocked out of the game with a concussion, TJ Yates came in and...
by the training staff. 2nd and 10. Yates. Hopkins. He went up and caught it for the touchdown. What a play by DeAndre Hopkins on Adam Jones. And the Texans take the lead with TJ Yates at the helm.
Texans played well enough to squeak out a victory and hand the Bengals their first loss of the 2015 season. Sunday Night Football, Cardinals traveled to face their division rival, the 12th man in the Seattle Seahawks. Cardinals owned a 19-0 lead in this game, but that diminished in the fourth quarter after 2 strip sacks led to 2 consecutive touchdowns for Seattle, but Arizona came right back, scoring 2 touchdowns right after to take back the lead and never gave it back to win the game 39-32 in an NFC West nail-biter.
And they run a draw with Ellington, and he's going to get the first down and stay inbounds and go all the way to the end zone.
We are through 10 weeks of the NFL season. We still have 2 unbeaten teams. Yet in the UFC, though, had its very own undefeated champion that changed the outlook of women fighting. Ronda Rousey was 12-0 going into Saturday's fight with Holly Holm, and at one time everyone thought she would never lose, but Holm ended that thought with a second-round knock with a kick right to Ronda's face to knock her out and end the championship reign of the great Ronda Rousey.
Beautiful. Beautiful. She's hurt. Is in trouble. She's hurt. Holly looking to finish. Holly Holm is the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world. Oh my God.
And, of course, 2 New York updates in New York football. The Giants lose a close one to the Patriots on a Gostkowski game-winning field goal to win 27-26. And the New York Jets lost to the Bills on Thursday night as the NFL introduced the Color Rush jerseys 22-17. Those jerseys were so gross, but nonetheless. And I'm Kevin Donlan with your Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary, brought to you by Overtime. The game never ends. Those jerseys were so gross.
You know what? I thought...
I needed
actually
sunglasses.
liked them.
I needed sunglasses to
I actually liked them. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I liked them. I thought the green for the Jets was actually I don't know.
Dude, they looked like Gumby.
Yeah, well, you know what? But it
looked like Halloween with Gumby.
It looked cool. The red was really bright for the the Bills, and I don't know. It's like.
It'd be nice if that game was like December 24th. It looked like Christmas on the field.
It did. It
did.
But
really strange.
Did you hear about the whole colorblind thing?
What do you mean?
People were coming out complaining because they were colorblind that they couldn't see which team was which.
I couldn't see the Jets on the field because they were blending in with the field. It was a disgusting jersey, I'll be honest.
I feel like there's always something to complain about for different people. I mean, you have the whole thing with the malls now, with Christmas being shown and stuff. It's just it's ridiculous, really. And you know what? If you're colorblind, I mean, why do you have to complain? There's people that are blind.
Yeah.
And can't even see the football field.
Yeah,
so be happy. If you're watching the football game, you should know which team is which. You should know who's on the team. So I thought that was a little ridiculous, but nonetheless, we'll move on to we'll go on to what we were talking about in the 60-second summary. Ronda Rousey,
unbelievable.
No longer undefeated.
I watched this fight from start to finish. What I like to call Double H, Holly Holm. Triple H. A little creative right there. Holly Holm played a really good fight, and I think a lot of people don't realize that. Holly Holm was undefeated as well. She had yet to lose, and this was her first knockout.
Really?
She had never knocked out a single other woman, and I guess it's a good time to pick your first knockout against Ronda Rousey. But yeah, obviously, a lot of work in the gym. You could tell. I mean, even on her post-fight interview, she mentioned a bunch of times how much time she had put in the gym preparing for this fight, and she fought a great fight. And a lot of people realize they see the second round knockout and say, "Oh, well, it was a good kick," and just caught Rousey at a great moment. Let me tell you something. I watched that first round as well, and Holly Holm had that first round too. She had gotten the knockdown of Ronda Rousey in the first round. She had connected on more significant punches than Ronda did. This is the problem with Ronda Rousey, and you've seen it in the past couple of fights for her. She's all about trying to humiliate the fighter that she's going up against. And when I say humiliate, I'm basically just concluding that she tries to fight the style of fight that her opponent is. I mean, Holly Holm came into that fight as a kickboxer. And what did Ronda do this entire fight? She tried to box with her. And I just, she wanted to beat her at her own game. She had done the same thing to Kat Zingano. Kat Zingano was going to come down and try to slam her to the ground. And basically, Ronda slammed her down to the ground and tapped her in a couple seconds.
None of these fighters that she's beaten are up to the level of Holly Holm. They really aren't.
Well, Holly hadn't even knocked out. Holly hadn't knocked out any of those women either. So it's like Holly was in that level with them, which made her such an underdog and arguably this is one of the biggest upsets in history of the UFC. But I'll be honest, there will be a second round, a second fight, almost no doubt. There's definitely going to be a rematch.
Well, yeah,
and this is good for Ronda. Ronda's going to probably make a lot of money at it. Yeah, they said it immediately following the fight. Ronda's going to make a lot of money out of this. That second fight's going to be a huge, huge showdown. It's like, and I just watched it Dirty for Dirty with Holyfield, and I'm not putting any comparison, but there is a slight comparison to it. I mean, it's going to be a big fight. A lot of people are going to tune in for that and see if Ronda can actually take this woman down. Which I'll be honest, early predictions for me, I think Ronda's going to win that fight with ease. I think obviously she's not going to try to box with this girl again. I mean, obviously it's going to be all about trying to take her down and tap her out.
Well, that's the biggest thing. But even Ronda Rousey tried to take her down as well.
Oh yeah, Holly Holm did a great job at getting out of it in the first round. Holly fought a great fight. There's nothing taken away from Holly Holm. She is the champion of the bantamweight division of the women's. Congratulations to her and Ronda. All that. She's doing a lot of.
She does a lot of talking,
a lot of trash talking, and all that.
She's definitely a role model for
integrity.
For the females out there to show that not everything out there is just for men. Fighting is for women, and everything that she's gone through.
A lot of people are saying that she's not a role model. Basically, when it comes down to it, she is a role model.
She's a role model.
They both are.
Both of them are in different ways.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this off air. With Ronda Rousey, she's a role model in the way of what I just said. Basically. Making female fighting a thing, really. Nobody heard about it before Ronda Rousey came in. She was definitely putting her name all over the UFC. I mean, you can say that she was a bigger name than really anybody in the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you had John Jones, but everything went downhill with him, and she kind of stepped in.
He's coming back to it, then.
Yeah, he is. But that's not a role model in any way. But, just the way. And then Holly Holm, in the other way, is, as you were saying, she's actually, a nice woman. She gave Ronda Rousey
all the credit in the world. Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. Ronda deserved it. But we're going to move on. I mean, this was an unbelievable fight, a very big upset for Holly Holm. Congratulations to the new champion. But we're going to move on, and we're going to actually start. I mean, I know this is just past week 10 of the NFL season. We're going to get a little intake on the playoff picture for the AFC and the NFC and the NFL altogether. Playoffs coming quicker than we know it, and with a lot of undefeated, a lot of teams really locking it up right now. But
you're speaking with Jerry and Kevin. We're taking calls 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. We want to hear your input on the playoff picture, who you think is going to make it, who you think isn't going to make it. And remember to join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or at our website, tnjsports.weebly.com. We'll start off with the AFC. Right now, obviously, you have the Patriots,
the Bengals.
9-0. Bengals with their first loss, as we said in the 60-second summary. They're 8-1. A bad loss to Texans, but they're still, you really can't say anything, about them yet.
They're well in control.
It's just one of those games that, you just kind of slip up. But right now, the top of the AFC obviously is the Patriots and the Bengals. Then you have the wild card round. If the playoffs started today, you'd have the Bills and the Broncos, and the Steelers and the Colts.
This seems like it's going to be exactly the same picture, aside from obviously I'm going to be biased, and I think the Bills can be dethroned by the New York Jets. But there's a lot of teams fighting for it right now.
It's all close.
Yeah, of course. You got the Bills, the Jets, the Chiefs, and the Raiders all in like a huge fight for that final playoff spot. I think that's really what's going to be the only thing left open will be that wild card position.
You have the Dolphins still in there.
I think the Steelers got that division, the first wild card locked up. I think the Colts obviously going to win that garbage division. But even the Texans have a chance, even with their win last night.
Even the Texans, but you can even say the Jaguars have a chance too.
Yeah.
I mean, at 3-6, it's just everybody's got a chance right now. I mean, it's a week 11. The Texans came out with a big win.
There's a couple of teams
the
you
Bengals.
could throw out. I think the Miami Dolphins, you could throw out their hopes of making the playoffs this season. I think the Ravens the exact same way. It's just too much ground to pick up for both teams. But we're going to move across to the NFC. Obviously, a couple more. One more. The other undefeated team, the Carolina Panthers, moving at 8-0, 9-0. Unbelievable. Incredible.
And then you have the Cardinals, 7-2. Then if, as we said, the wild card round, if the playoffs started today, you'd have the Falcons and the Vikings, and the Packers and the Giants. Then going below the Giants here and the Packers, you have the Redskins 4-5, Buccaneers 4-5, Rams 4-5, Seahawks 4-5, Eagles 4-5, Bears 4-5, Saints 4-6. Then you have the 49ers 3-6, and the Lions and the Cowboys at 2-7. And right out of there, I mean, you could even say that the Cowboys have a chance. Even after big losses to the Eagles, and this week.
I just got to ask you something real quick though. Are the Dallas Cowboys dead last in the NFC right now?
They are dead last.
Okay, that's one.
But you know what? They can end up in the playoffs. They're the only team that you could say at 2-7 that have a chance of making it.
Well, I'm just hoping they win a couple in a row when they take on my New York Jets, because that's when we probably won't even do a show that week because we're going to be in such turmoil. So
that should be a fun one.
We want to move on though past the playoff picture. Obviously, both we're still early in the season, but the playoff picture is starting to get cleared up just a slight bit, even though a lot of tight races going on for those final playoff spots.
And we were talking about obviously the Panthers being undefeated, and after what happened this week with Cam Newton scoring a touchdown and dancing, that has been a topic for debate. Was Cam Newton's celebration too much? And you know what? That's the overtime debate of the week right there. Boom. Was Cam Newton's celebration too much? What do you think?
I do not think so. But Cam Newton's
I don't think so either.
Cam Newton's my favorite player in the NFL right now. I think I give this guy most credit at anyone. I wish he was a New York Jet, to be honest. I'm super jealous that he is a Carolina Panther, because right now he's got nothing to work with. And obviously, he's doing a great job over there in Carolina. And like he said in the post-game interview, you don't want me to dance in the end zone, then you know what? Stop me from getting in.
Victor Cruz out for the season with surgery on his calf.
Shocker.
Edelman out at least 8 weeks with a broken ankle that required surgery, so that's also a big
Yeah, but before we go on break, in this day and age, social media has become such a pivotal part of people's lives. Well, now there's an app called Overtime that brings sports and social media together.
It allows you to post photos as well as video of all sports-related news and highlights. It gives you access to debate all sports topics with other sports fanatics, as well as giving you a platform to break sports news yourself.
Go to the iTunes App Store and download Overtime, a great sports app for sports lovers.
Injury bug continuing to hurt teams and the better players on each team. Three new starting quarterbacks this week, and one coming back. Recap of Week 10 and preview of Week 11 next.
Do you have sports opinions? Or do you want to start your own sports debate? Then Overtime is right for you. Overtime is an app for sports lovers made by sports lovers. This is the best place to talk about sports. Overtime is available at the iTunes App Store. Be a part of something big and help us take the game to OT. Overtime. The game never ends. Follow the NFL this season on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Tuesday on Zeno Radio and re-airs Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports, or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live.
Kinda broke this evening, y'all, so all I got is 5. I got 5.
Cleo. You know I had to do it.
We are back. The Cowboys and Buccaneers start our Week 10 recap. And obviously a close one here. A lot of field goals until the very late ends of this game. A lot of.
This was a boring game.
I wouldn't say that, but a lot towards the end. What am I thinking of the word?
A
lot of turmoil, I guess, is the best way to put it. A lot of interesting things happened towards the end of this game. Now, I'm not even going to let this kid get in on it because he'll probably go on for hours about it. But, as a non-Cowboy fan watching this game, you see towards the end, now, I explained this to him already, the Dallas Cowboys had forced a fumble on Jameis Winston right before the goal line. He didn't get in. He fumbled before he went in. But there was a holding on the defense. This was 100% a holding on the defense. There's no argument there.
See,
my problem is after.
The thing that annoys me is, it wasn't like a. It was kind of like he ran across him and he kind of just yanked his jersey. And for that to be such a big play in the game, for you to call that, I felt like it was very very small to consider that such a big play.
I'm sorry, I got to disagree with you again on this, brother, because what happens is if he doesn't hold his jersey there, then this guy might be open, and that's why he ran in. It all leads to the next thing. They have to call it. You can't say it's not related. I have no problem with that because that was a holding, and it should have been called. My problem is in that game was the pass interference that was a non-call.
That definitely was that definitely was a problem for me as well. I just feel like it was just such a big play to be so small.
Well, if he doesn't grab his jersey, I know you can't grab his jersey though. You don't grab his jersey. There's no call. There's no reason to grab his jersey unless you couldn't guard him. In that case, Jameis Winston might have thrown that ball instead of trying to run it in, and there's a fumble.
But now back to the pass interference. Now,
yes.
A lot of people have brought up that Dez didn't jump for the ball, didn't go after the ball. Yeah, he didn't, and at first it upset me that he didn't. But it was clear that this guy pushed him in the back. Clear. And when you get pushed in the back, it's kind of hard to even get any type of,
well, this is
leaping ability.
This is a quick situation right here. Basically, what happened was he should have sold that penalty more. He didn't sell it.
Yeah.
And it was a penalty, okay? Because the one thing that I've seen that's been consistent in the NFL is that when you go to extend your arm on a push-off, the penalty should be called. If you don't extend, there shouldn't be a penalty called. It's very simple. Yeah. The arm was extended. Play should have been called. Obviously, no call was made. Cowboys dropped the game 10-6, but we have to move on with the New York Jets and the Buffalo Bills on Thursday night. We went into this game. We told you the score already. Bills come out 22-17. Jets offense looked abysmal, and the Bills, give them all the credit in the world. They came in there and they punched the Jets right in their mouth on the road. Great win for the Bills, and they're in the playoffs because of it right now.
Patriots-Giants, probably one, if not the best game of the week. Everybody had talk about this game, being that the Giants have beaten them three times in a row, including the Super Bowl and everything like that. The Giants played them well. They did. They should have won this game. Again, you hear a lot of stuff about Tom Coughlin and the time management at the end of the game. People thought that they should have wasted more time. It really doesn't matter to me. I mean, it really doesn't matter because depending on how much time you gave Tom Brady, he was still going to drive down the field. It was a little terrible that he threw a pick, and it should have been a pick, but
the guy got hurt on the intercept. Basically,
the way Landon Collins, landed.
With this game, the Patriots, you give the Patriots all the credit in the world. You give the Giants all the credit in the world. This was probably the game of the week in the NFL this season. This was a back-and-forth affair. Very great game. Giants obviously should have picked late. Landon Collins, unfortunately, got injured.
It was a great play
for that ball.
It was a great play.
Yeah, he just got injured at the end, and he just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do there. Obviously, you can't give Tom Brady chances like that, and a great win for the Patriots. They move on. They're still 9-0.
This goes back to what we were saying last week. If you listened last week, we basically said the Giants play up to their competition, and they play down to their competition. This was a
situation just the same.
Yeah.
And for the record, before we get off this game, Odell Beckham Jr.'s touchdown was not a touchdown. Just ask any Detroit Lion fan, any Calvin Johnson fan. It's
any
the same
Des
exact
Bryant
thing.
fan.
Same thing.
Any Cowboy fan.
Yeah.
I mean,
same thing.
If they would have called that a touchdown, I would have been really upset.
Yeah, I mean, and rightfully so. I mean, that's not a touchdown, though. Every Giant fan was getting a little upset about that. That is not a touchdown by rule.
Listen to this stat. Patriots are the fifth team and first since the 1983 to 1998 49ers with 16, with at least 15 consecutive winning seasons. And Odell Beckham's touchdown was the longest against any Bill Belichick coached team in 360 games.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, we move on. Lions come into Lambeau Field and win their first game in Lambeau Field, and I don't even know how long, man.
Well, I have
very long time.
1991 was the last time.
Packers obviously having troubles on their offense. It's already a known fact that it is not a time to relax. The Green Bay has major problems on offense, and they're really going to have to do something to fix this all up. And it doesn't help on the defensive side. They haven't had a sack in 3 games. Moving on with the Panthers taking on the Titans, and this one was like a no-brainer. Panthers go on to beat the Titans in Tennessee. Great performance from Cam Newton once again. Titans getting very upset with that celebration. Again, you got to stop Cam Newton. You want to stop the dancing. Great win for the Panthers. They're the other 9-0 team. Bears coming to St. Louis and basically shock. And what did I tell you? Bears were my pick.
We both picked them for the upset.
Yeah.
The Edwards Jones Dome installed a thick rubberized surface near the stands on both sides of the field after 2 players slipped on bare concrete the previous 2 home games. One was Reggie Bush, and I forget who the other one was, but Reggie Bush ended up tearing his ACL on that.
Yeah, terrible situation. Yeah, you can't have that.
It was bound to happen. They had to do something about it.
Bears play a great game. Obviously, the Rams are going to go with a new quarterback now.
Hey, if you
Nick
listen,
Foles has been benched.
Yeah, he has. Case Keenum. Case Keenum's coming in.
And good luck, St. Louis.
But if you listened to our Fantasy 14 last week, if you would have heard my co-host pick his quarterback, you had a chance to win some money.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins absolutely stunned the Saints. Stunned everybody in the NFL with his 4-touchdown performance on Sunday. Cousins is the first Redskins quarterback with at least 300 yards passing and a rating above 150 since Sammy Baugh in 1948.
He played a near flawless game, but I think every quarterback that has taken on the New Orleans Saints has done just the same. I mean, I saw a stat the other day. The Saints defense is making every quarterback look like Tom Brady these days.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they even showed the stats. It's very similar. Obviously,
look Rob
Ryan got fired.
Yeah,
so. Just as, obviously everyone says this is a chance for their head coach to save his own, but this is not that at all. Rob Ryan has no personnel in this defense to do any kind of effectiveness. Obviously, we got to move on to the next. The Dolphins took on the Eagles and got a nice win. This is a game I didn't even call correct. I think I took the Eagles for this one.
This was huge. I picked the Eagles as well. This was huge. I mean,
big win for the Dolphins too if they want to have any chance of getting back in the playoffs. But
it was a big loss for the Eagles too. I mean, this is just keeping everybody around. I mean, the Giants and the Eagles are keeping the Cowboys in this race. They really are.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys are 2 games behind first place. At 2-7, 2-7, and this is a big loss for the Eagles. Big loss, and then they lose Sam Bradford for probably the next 2 games. Mark Sanchez, as we said, maybe a better quarterback than.
Well, he threw a
Sam
nice
Bradford.
pick in the end zone, but I mean, it's not something I haven't seen before as a Jet fan.
Steelers Browns. You know what? It was funny. Before the game, they're talking about Ben Roethlisberger being the emergency backup.
Mm-hmm.
They were hoping that he would not come in. And then, for some reason, Landry Jones just gets injured, hurts his ankle, and boom, you see Ben Roethlisberger back into this game. And he balled out. He balled out. Antonio Brown has 27 receptions in his last 2 games, the 3rd highest total in NFL history. Antonio Brown's been absolutely unstoppable since Ben Roethlisberger came back from his injury.
And this is perfect timing for their bye week. Obviously, getting a bye week on week 11, they'll be able to rest Ben Roethlisberger for a big 2 weeks, and obviously did not want to use him in this game. Had no choice. Get a nice win out of it.
He ended up throwing, I think, for like 340
yards.
yards.
Choice. I mean, they really didn't have much of a running game in that game. But as we continue to move on, Ravens and Jaguars, we talked about how boring this game was, and it definitely played up to it. Jaguars obviously getting kind of an argument. This was a big controversy towards the end of this game. Ravens committing a big penalty, giving Jaguars into field goal range, and of course their kicker hit a 53-yarder. And I don't even want to talk about that. Kicker is not one of my friends right now. The Jaguars go on to defeat the Ravens 22-20. We move on. The Vikings take on the Raiders. This was a game that we were kind of back and forth on. I wasn't sure who was going to win this game, but I did say that if the Raiders had scored more than 21 points, they had a chance to win this game. Or basically, if they had scored 30, they were winners. Yeah. But if they didn't score 30, they weren't going to win. And obviously, the Vikings win 30-14. Chiefs and Broncos, this a near shocker. I basically went and said the Chiefs had no chance at moving the ball against the Broncos. Therefore, the Broncos would win this game. But it was actually almost the complete opposite. And a lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers led to cheap field goals. I mean, they really didn't even score a lot of touchdowns. They had no shot against that that Bronco defense. But unfortunately, Peyton Manning, after breaking the record for most passing yards ever in a career, gets benched in the same exact game. It's not a game he's going to want to remember, despite winning the.
He had 4 interceptions going into halftime.
Yeah, it was gross. Obviously, the Chiefs took care of turnovers and were able to score a lot of points on a lot of field goals. They really weren't able to score a lot of touchdowns in that game.
Yesterday, it came out saying that Peyton Manning has a plantar fascia tear, which is people say it's very painful. So that could be a problem with Peyton Manning.
They'll be taking on the Bears next week, and that'll probably be one of my upsets.
He's going to be on the bench. Brock Osweiler will be starting next week. This week coming up.
And we talked about the Cardinals defeating the Seahawks 39-32 in a showdown, and then the Texans obviously defeating the Bengals and ending their undefeated streak. And that's your recap for Week 10.
Picks and predictions, locks and upsets. And we got some really, really good games coming up this week. We'll let you know what you need to know. Tom and Jerry Sports Show. Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Tuesday on Zeno Radio and re-airs Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports, or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Follow the NFL this season on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. Do you have sports opinions? Or do you want to start your own sports debate? Then Overtime is right for you. Overtime is an app for sports lovers made by sports lovers. This is the best place to talk about sports. Overtime is available at the iTunes App Store. Be a part of something big and help us take the game to OT. Overtime. The game never ends.
Until the end of days, they'll remember our names. Brace yourself in, all goes down tonight. Time will tell who's here for the heart.
The Tom and Jerry Sports Show picks and predictions for Week 11. We are back, and the picks and predictions, basically like I just said, are going to be starting up right now for Week 11, and we start with the New York Jets taking on the Houston Texans.
Big win for the Texans last week, big loss for the Jets. as well. I think I got to go with the Jets. I think they come out with a win this one. I mean, Texans defense is really good.
Well, right now the Texans are at an all-time high when it comes to confidence this season, and that's not saying much. But they are in a race for their division. It's a very important game for them as well. It really comes down to who's going to win the trenches.
Sure.
Who's going to win the offensive defensive line battles. I really don't see any offense pulling away. This is going to be a very, very close game, but I'm going to be biased. I'm going to go with my New York Jets to defeat the Houston Texans. Just too big of a game for both teams, but Jets come out with a win in Houston.
Cowboys coming into this game, 7 losses in a row, going into Miami, but big number 9 is back.
And Cowboys 2-0 with Tony Romo, 0-7 without. I think they just go back to their winning ways with Tony Romo at the helm.
Yeah, I'm going with the Cowboys as well because they need it. They're desperate now. Every win is a must, and I have them going 3-7 after this week. Titans and the Jaguars in Jacksonville. Titans 2-7. Jacksonville is 3-6. Who do you got?
No, I just yawned at the whole thing while you were talking about the game. I'm going to go with the Jaguars, basically because of their home. I see both teams being equal when it comes to talent-wise. I think Jaguars win because of the road. I mean, being at home.
Yeah, I am going to go with the Jaguars as well. Actually, you know what? I'm going with Titans. Mariota's been playing well. I'm going with Titans. I'm going to go against you. I just made my pick just right off the top of the head right here.
You got the Raiders and the Lions.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
I'm going to agree with you 100%. I think the Raiders go into Detroit and take care of business. It is a dome game, but I think that's better for Derek Carr. I think this is a very high-scoring game. I think you're going to see a lot of scoring between the Raiders and the Detroit Lions in this one. Obviously, the Raiders coming out with the win eventually because Detroit just finds ways to lose games. I mean, great game against Green Bay. I'll give them all the credit in the world. The defense played great, but the Raiders' offense has been very, very hot of late, and I think they continue their winning ways.
Yeah, Colts and the Falcons. Colts coming in 4-5, obviously without Andrew Luck. Falcons 6-3, losing the last, I think, 3 out of the last 4 games. This is a big game for the Falcons to stay, in the playoff race.
I know there's no Andrew Luck in this game, but I still think this game's going to be very, very close. And I mean, this is just basically off the home game. Falcons.
I think the Colts are a better team without Andrew Luck, as crazy as that might sound. At least for this year. Matt Hasselbeck. Matt Hasselbeck, I think, has more wins than Andrew Luck has.
It's
Well,
their team has just been so out of whack of late. The Falcons have been not really the best team ever either. I'm going to go with the Falcons strictly because they're at home, but I'm not too confident in this pick.
I'm going to go with the Colts.
It is in.
So
it's going to be a close game either way. I don't know. I can't tell you who's going to win, but it's going to be up in the air. Yeah,
Rams, Ravens.
The Rams, despite the fact they're going to have, I don't even know who a quarterback. Don't even say his name because I'm going to forget it in 2 seconds anyways. I think the Rams come out and win strictly because they have a better defense.
I'm going Rams. Buccaneers, Eagles.
Eagles come out with fire. Have to win that game, but it's going to be a close one again. These are very tough games this week. Yeah,
I'm going to go with the Eagles as well. Broncos, Bears.
I think the Bears continue to win and continue to make a fight for that playoff spot.
Okay. I'm going to go, you know what?
Osweiler all the way.
I think. You know what? I'm going Broncos. I'm going Broncos
have a very
because
good defense too.
Just because of the defense, I think that's what's going to happen. I think Jay Cutler is going to end up throwing a lot of picks in this game. Redskins, Panthers. Panthers stay undefeated.
I agree.
Chiefs, Chargers.
Chiefs.
Yeah. No, I'm going Chargers.
I like the Chiefs. Their defense has been playing very good of late. It's definitely picked it up since the last couple of days.
Packers, Vikings. I'm going Vikings.
I'm going to go Packers. I think the Packers finally get their,
I think it ends up being 4
I have other
straight.
words, the way to put it, but I think they really get their heads, back on straight because they've been out of whack of late. Vikings defense very good, nothing underrated. Don't expect a lot of scoring out of the Packers defense for your fantasy purposes, but Packers will go out and win a close one.
49ers, Seahawks.
Seahawks at home, of course.
Yeah,
Seahawks.
I'm going Seahawks as well.
Blaine Garrett. I mean, made me look stupid the other about 2 weeks ago, but you know what? This is the Seahawks defense, young man. God, I don't even. I'm. You know what? I'm about to go actually make sure I'm not playing the Seahawks defense in any of my fantasy league.
Bengals and the Cardinals. This is going to be.
This is going to be a showdown.
This is the best game of the week. Bengals coming off of their first loss this past weekend.
I think it's going to be 2 in a row.
I think it's going to be 2 in a row too. I like the Cardinals. I think. I mean, they just put 39 up on the Seahawks defense in Seattle.
Yep.
So I'm going Cardinals as well. Monday Night Football, AFC East showdown. Patriots looking to go 10-0. Bills looking to go 6-4 and knock the Patriots out of this undefeated.
You're going to see 2 10-0 teams. Okay.
I'm going to go with the Patriots as well. I mean, it's the Patriots.
The Tom and Jerry Sports Show presents the Lock of the Week for Week 11.
Lock of the Week. I'm going Panthers.
I'm going Chiefs. I think they're my lock of the week without a doubt.
I like the Panthers. I feel like they're going 10-0.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, bro.
Here we go.
Upset of the week. It's time for Jerry and Kevin's Upset of the Week for Week 11.
Upset of the week.
I think it's going to be the Cowboys, the team that's dead last in the NFC.
Oh, wow.
I'm just playing with you. They're not an upset this week. Obviously.
Yeah. I think my upset is I just thought about it. Vikings. I mean, even if you call that an upset, just because. I mean, they are 7-2 and the Packers are 6-3 and the Vikings are ahead of them. But I feel like this is an upset worthy.
I'm going to go with the Rams. The Rams are definitely going to be underdogs against the Ravens, obviously with their quarterback being Case Keenum, but I think they go out there and win better defense.
Yeah, I mean, that should be a good game. But we're going to everyone's favorite Fantasy 14 and what you need to know when you're trying to set up your starting lineups or even your daily fantasy lineup. Next.
Do you have sports opinions? Or do you want to start your own sports debate? Then Overtime is right for you. Overtime is an app for sports lovers made by sports lovers. This is the best place to talk about sports. Overtime is available at the iTunes App Store. Be a part of something big and help us take the game to OT. Overtime. The game never ends. Follow the NFL this season on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Tuesday on Zeno Radio and re-airs Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live.
I will fight till I take my last breath. I got the heart of a warrior, the heart of a warrior. I've been down, I've been out, and I've bled. Yeah, I got the heart of a warrior.
The Tom and Jerry Sports Show Fantasy 14. We are back, and it's the Fantasy 14, that time of the show where we're all trying to help you win money on your daily fantasy leagues or your year-long fantasy leagues.
Yeah, but daily fantasy hit a speed bump, I guess you could say, in the state of New York.
Yes, obviously, the Attorney General for the New York State has issued a ban on fantasy sports.
Basically saying it's gambling.
Yes.
It's hard to dispute that, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had someone actually come up to me a couple days ago and say, you tell me a difference between fantasy football and daily fantasy sports and horse racing. And I thought it was interesting. It's like, you read stuff about certain horses, you read stuff about certain players. You pick certain horses and you pick certain players.
Yeah.
And then they both go and
you
play.
Win money.
They play. And if your horse or if your player does good, you win money. I mean, it's very similar, and it made a lot of sense when he talked about it actually a couple days ago. It was interesting.
In a way, if you kind of think about it, what's the difference with regular fantasy, season-long fantasy?
Well, you know what it is, because, you know, a lot of fantasy leagues these days, obviously, there's no way to say it's for money. I mean, if you're doing it with a bunch of your friends.
I mean,
like, let's say anybody from New York can go ahead and play a daily fantasy lineup and put it in with a bunch of his friends if it's for nothing, because you're just not allowed to put any money on it.
Yeah.
So it's basically taking away. If you and your friends want to go out there and, you know, whether you want to console with yourselves, you know, and maybe put $5 or whatever you want to put on it, and everyone puts it in a hat. You know, let's say all your friends go to the same house and they all watch the games, and everyone wants to put a fantasy lineup in, you know, for a certain amount of money, and whoever's lineup does the best wins all the money. But you do that amongst yourselves instead of playing it up against the rest of the world. I mean, in a way, I think it's a good thing for New York. I mean, because honestly, half these big leagues, I mean, I have a lot of friends that have done this, and I only had one that went out there and actually won a lot of money doing it. You know, he won a good amount of money doing it. He came in like top 10 out of like 300,000 people and went up winning a couple thousand. It was really awesome for him. I was really happy for him. But, you know, I've had kids that have gone in there, they're putting $50 a week in there, you know, or $25 a week trying to win that $1 million thing. It's just not worth it. You're blowing your money away. I mean, it's good if you want to maybe play someone heads up, but you know what? You want to play someone heads up so badly, play one of your friends.
Yeah. You know what? In a way, to me, I just feel like and I said this before when we first started talking about fantasy a couple of weeks ago. It's adding more to the viewers for these sports, and it's surprising to me that they would even do something like this, or they would let it happen. I know the players. I know, like Pierre Garçon came out and put a class action suit on FanDuel because of that whole thing.
Well, they mentioned his name. I mean, that's his name is his product, and basically, that's a whole different other debate. That'll be something that'll be going in court, as well as this whole case with the New York State. Daily sports is just such a topic that could be a debate too. I mean, if you didn't pick our debate of the week, this could have been the next debate of the week. But obviously,
we could do that next week. Or we could put two up this week. I mean, again. If you don't know what we're talking about with Debate of the Week, go to iTunes, download the app Overtime. It's free, and it's amazing to use, so go check it out. But again, if you have any type of opinion on fantasy sports or anything like that, call in 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Again, that's 605-562-7085. We're still going to give our daily fantasy lineup because this is just for New York. So other states can use it if we just so happen to have other fans from other states. Check it out. We'll start off with our quarterbacks. Who are you liking this week?
This week, my quarterback to pick will be, it's a choice. They're both cheap, and they're both very good options, and probably arguably the two best matchups you'll see all week. You got Matt Hasselbeck taking on Atlanta in a dome, and you also got Matt Stafford taking on Oakland in a dome. And these are two defenses, Oakland and Atlanta, that are very questionable defenses. These are two quarterbacks that continue to have weapons, can somehow get it done, and get you a decent amount of points for a decent price instead of going out and spending a lot of money on Tom Brady against Buffalo, Aaron Rodgers against Minnesota. We've already talked about that Minnesota defense. Yeah. Matt Ryan might be a very good pick, but if they're taking the lead, I think Devontae Freeman could be a very big pick this week. He's one of my favorites too. But and then Phillip Rivers against Kansas City, Cam Newton, Washington, Carson Palmer against Cincy. You don't want to take any of these guys. I think you go the cheaper option here.
You know what? I'm gonna go with the guy that you didn't even want to say before or hear about, and it's a cheap pick. I do like it a lot. Case Keenum.
Yeah. Honestly, Brock Osweiler could be a good pick, too.
That was the other guy I was looking at. Baltimore, 31st ranked.
Well, any way you put it, you can go very cheap on quarterback this week. I think even if you put 4 different lineups with those 4 different quarterbacks, I think you have a chance to at least 3 out of those 4 could do good for you.
Definitely.
Running back, I already talked about it. He's a top-notch running back, and rightfully so. Devontae Freeman against that Colts. Colts obviously lost a couple of big players. They've had those big Stanford guys. They're doing a great job in the middle of the run. Obviously, one of those gentlemen have gotten hurt. He's not going to be playing, I don't think, in this game. A lot of holes. I think Atlanta takes the lead early. I think Devontae Freeman gets a lot of work.
You know what? I am going to go biased on this. I think I like Darren McFadden against Miami's defense.
I was going to pick him as my number 2. Yeah, he's a very cheaper option, too.
31st, 5,000, and I feel like with Romo back, that opens up not having 8 in the box now. I mean, this guy was putting up yards against 8 in the boxes, so I would go with Darren McFadden as my number 1.
Yeah, he was my number 2. So you can go with Darren McFadden as a number 2. Another good option could be someone along the lines of maybe even LeGarrette Blount, who's getting the full load now. Charkandrick West against that porous San Diego defense. Yeah, San Diego. You can get Darren McFadden and Charkandrick West. That's a very good. That's funny because I have that in my standard league.
I like Charkandrick West. I think you can even go with Ronnie Hillman maybe against Chicago's defense. Something like that. Even if you wanted to go higher, maybe a Marshawn Lynch against San Francisco's defense, maybe. You could even look at. Even Todd Gurley against Baltimore. I mean, something like that.
Absolutely.
Adrian Peterson against Minnesota. It's however you want to go, whatever route you want to go. But wide receiver.
I love Julian Edelman. I think he's definitely going to play this week. The foot injury is just a hoax. I'm just kidding, guys. Obviously, the number 1 is Julio Jones. If you want to go cheap and go with Charkandrick West and maybe a Darren McFadden with one of those cheaper quarterbacks, you could probably afford someone like Julio Jones. And I would say, hey, go for it. It's Julio Jones. He's a monster, and he'll continue to do work this week.
Yeah, I would look at maybe Mike Evans, but he's been having problems with the drops lately. I would definitely look at a guy like maybe Amari Cooper against Detroit.
That's a great one. That's my number 2.
26th ranked.
If you want to go super cheap on wide receiver this week, it could be a little bit of a risk. It's a tough defense they're facing New England, but maybe a Brandon LaFell. This is a 4,300 player. No Edelman. Gronk could be getting the best coverage guy on Buffalo is going to be throwing at him. Maybe even double coverage. LaFell might get a lot of one-on-one.
Maybe even staying in that game, maybe Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
Just look at what everybody's really been doing against
Depends,
New
though,
England.
man. It is starting to get cold out, and it's going to be up in New England, so you got to be careful with that at the same time. Danny Amendola also 4,000. I mean, it's really a toss-up in who's going to be the one to do the work in that game. My money's on Brandon LaFell.
Yeah. We'll go with tight end.
Yep. What do you got?
Tight end.
There's a lot of safe ones. They finally have Jason Witten to be relevant again, but it's shown it. He's up to 5,100 now.
Yeah.
Obviously, wasn't that expensive last week. Jason Witten, with the return of Tony Romo, becomes relevant again in fantasy.
I mean, even Dez.
Yeah, I think him against Miami is a great matchup. I think Jordan Reed's also, despite playing Carolina, I mean, let's be honest, Langford did work against St. Louis last week. West did work against Denver. I mean, matchups, hey, they only do so much. Maybe they'll just show a limited amount of people to pick that certain player.
I would maybe look at Jacob Tammy if you want to go low on price.
Right now, my 3 safest picks, and without going Gronk, because Gronk's going to be playing Buffalo, tough matchup, my 3 safest picks are Jason Witten, Jordan Reed, and Antonio Gates. I think with those 3, I think you can get plenty of work done.
Yeah, definitely. We'll go with flex.
Flex this week, if I were to go my main flex, and we're talking like cheaper options here, folks. We're talking someone you can get for super cheap that'll get you that work done. We already talked about maybe a Brandon LaFell, a Charkandrick West. These are 4,500 players. Kamar Aiken, St. Louis, but they are at home. Tough matchup, but you know what? Kamar Aiken get you a couple of catches in that game. Talked about Sammy Watkins. Stefan Diggs against Green Bay. I think Minnesota is going to be throwing the ball a decent amount in this game. Diggs going to have a little bit of a bounce-back game.
Yeah.
I
like
Darren McFadden, too.
I would look at maybe a...
If you want to go Witten, Antonio Gates thing, too.
Yeah. Maybe a Jeremy Langford. I don't know. going against Denver's defense.
Hey, man, Langford went up against St. Louis last week, and that was the best front you could see. Yeah. It really also depends if Matt Forte is going to be in this game. That's something that
maybe Alan Hearns
is still up for debate, basically. And, defense, since you're going so cheap on a lot of options in this, you have to hands down go Seattle defense. I think this is a defense that's just you can't take anybody else. I think the Seattle defense, hands down, does a lot of work this week. Maybe even the Rams defense against Baltimore, but they are on the road, which makes it a little skeptical.
I would look at maybe the Eagles.
Or even New England against Buffalo. I think Buffalo might have to throw the ball a lot with Tyrod Taylor, and I'll be honest, if they try to throw with Tom Brady, it might lead to a couple of picks.
Maybe even the Raiders.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well,
how many people are going to take the Raiders defense?
Yeah, but you got to remember, it's in a dome, no wind, no nothing helping you really in that situation. Seattle you're not going to really get anything in Seattle either. But, personally, Seattle, I think you got to go Seattle. I think Seattle's the best defense to go. This is hands down a no doubter. You're going cheap with a lot of options. You can maybe get a Charkandrick West, Darren McFadden. You can even throw a Julio Jones in there. You'll have plenty of money to fit someone like Seattle in there. I think they're the best defense this week. They're the most expensive, and rightfully so.
What do you think about the Cowboys defense?
Who are they playing? Miami. Nah, Miami's one of those teams that you just don't know.
You know what? I would look at it just in the case of how well they've been playing. It's the problem lately with the Cowboys is, they're on the field too much. With no offense, they're on the field a lot.
Well, Tony Romo now.
Now you got Tony Romo coming back.
Well, Miami's just been one of those offenses you don't know. You can either get the Miami team that played the Jets, or you're going to get the Miami team that took on the Jaguars. What was it, Jaguars?
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
Or they just annihilated. Man, they just scored so many points. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So, it's just overall,
you don't know what team you're going to get.
Exactly. And I guess we can kind of give you a stardom sit-em, even though we kind of basically did that already. We didn't even really give you a full daily fantasy. We gave you
what's your best player that you're going to be putting on the bench from the quarterback position? We already told you who we're going to start. The defense, the team, the players that we're going to tell you right now are going to be players that are in big-time players, starters, that we're going to tell you to dodge, even in your full-time fantasy league.
Well, you got you got players like Peyton Manning that's going to be on the bench, so you got to find someone, on the waiver wire. But we're going to take a call. You're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. What's going on? Hello?
Hey, guys. It's Mike from Syosset. How's it going?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, Mike?
Not much. As a Giant fan, I just had a quick question. Clearly, I don't think anybody would agree that the Giants are the best team in the NFC, but the Patriots, assuming they make it to the Super Bowl again, if you ask them the one team they don't want to play in the Super Bowl from the NFC, do you think they would say the Giants?
I'd have to agree, yeah.
Yeah.
The Giants are just one of those teams that are just playing up to every opponent they play, but they're also playing down. A lot of close games for the New York Giants, and obviously the Giants have found a way to lose a lot of these games, which has not been a good thing, especially for someone like Tom Coughlin right now. But Eli Manning's been better than ever. He's got one target. One. Literally one target. He's got no tight end or faithful tight end to work with right now. Their number 2 receiver has picked it up with Harris, but you can ask any Cowboy fan, any Green Bay fan, would they even want Dwayne Harris back? And they would tell you no in a heartbeat. Okay, but Eli Manning is making this man a talent right now. Eli Manning is playing the best football, and I'll be honest, I never thought I would say this a day in my life. He is better than his brother this season.
Well, yeah,
he is.
Obviously
because of age, of course. But
you know what? With the Giants, their defense still kind of scares me. I just feel like that they don't have enough to beat the Patriots. I think even if they did get into the Super Bowl, I'm really hoping that it doesn't happen. But to play the Patriots, I think no matter what, going up against the Patriots, it's going to be hard for the Giants this year because
it's going to be hard for any NFC team.
Yeah, but you know what? The 2 years that the Giants ended up beating the Patriots, they had a pass rush, and they showed a pass rush against the Patriots, this past week.
People don't realize that the New England Patriots are starting three rookies on their offensive line.
I know, but and they're still undefeated.
They are beatable though. The Jets and the Giants each have shown respectfully that there is a chance that there is a way to beat the New England Patriots, and they're the 2 New York teams are the closest teams to beat this team so far.
And you know what? If you really put it if you had Romo in that game, I think the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys had a chance to beat them too. They got to Tom Brady a lot too. I mean, they just
that's a recipe to beat the Patriots.
And right now, but I agree with you 100%, Mike. I think the Patriots, the one team in the NFC they don't want to see right now, are the New York Giants, because somehow it must be the color in their jersey or the color on their helmets, the reflection. Something bothers Tom Brady with this team. It's definitely not green.
To do with the Eli's whole charisma. I just think he doesn't get too up or down facing Tom Brady. Some people, I think, they freak out about it.
No, he doesn't have to worry about Tom Brady. He has to worry about his side of the football.
And he plays his game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
I think
I know he's had some bad seasons, a lot of interceptions, but Eli could play as good as any quarterback, including Tom Brady, when he faces him, because he clearly had more success than any other quarterback has had in the career. And you could say Tom Brady, in my opinion, I think he's the best quarterback to go down in all time.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I personally think the Cardinals are the best team in the NFC right now. I think they have the least amount of weaknesses. As long as Carson Palmer stays healthy. But I think, the Giants got a good bye week. They had a little bit of a confidence builder with that Patriot game, even though we lost. I think we outplayed them.
Well, you're still in good shape in your division. You just got to
back healthy.
You got to come out of this bye week, and you got to get a couple of wins. You're going to have a couple of tough matchups. Whoa. And basically, it just it's going to come down to just wins at this point, man. They're going to have to win games, and no team like Dallas or Philly, no one's going to be able to catch them if they just continue to win the games that are coming up to them.
You know what's funny, though? I would really love to know what is going on in Eli's head on the field, because it just doesn't seem like anything's going on up there. I mean, he's on the sideline
he really seems like a machine right now, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it just in a way, I just feel like
him.
I feel like he's so dumb.
He's out there doing work, though, man. I mean, everywhere. Who should feel dumb? That Giant defense. They basically they've been horrible, and I feel you almost feel it for Eli Manning and for Tom Coughlin, because it's like, I feel, what they remind me of? They reminded me of Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Yeah. I mean, these two together, his offense has done work for a long time, and it's been the same thing for Eli Manning. But again, Mike, we appreciate you coming in, and we thank you for calling in, and we'll call back whenever.
Take it easy, guys. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Be sure to download the new sports app Overtime at the iTunes App Store. Tom and Jerry Sports Show now has its very own app as well. If you have an Android phone, be sure to download that at the Google Play Store. We got the Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary. Monday Night Football, Bengals came into this game as one of the three undefeated teams. After the Patriots and Panthers took care of business to stay undefeated, the Bengals didn't follow, as J.J. Watt and the Texans handed the Bengals their first loss of the season. Sunday Night Football, Carson Palmer and the Arizona Cardinals survived losing the ball twice, and eventually the lead in the fourth quarter to come back and win 39-32 in Seattle. Three quarterbacks will be watching their backups start in Week 11. Peyton Manning has a torn plantar fascia and will watch Brock Osweiler under center. Sam Bradford has a concussion and a sprained left shoulder and will watch Mark Sanchez under center. And Nick Foles was benched just for not playing well for Case Keenum. Tony Romo makes his way back in Week 11. Cowboys desperately needed this. Julian Edelman will be out at least 8 weeks with a broken foot that required surgery. Saints defensive coordinator Rob Ryan fired after Saints gave up 47 points to the Kirk Cousins-led Redskins. Ronda Rousey, undefeated, no more. Holly Holm knocked her out in the second round with a kick to the face. And I'm Jerry Napoleonello with your Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary, brought to you by Overtime. The game never ends. And that will do it for the Tom and Jerry Sports Show this week. Have fun watching Week 11. And I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
Be breezy.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Tom and Jerry Show.